Hi guys, this is the next play in the Wrath series, and today isn't so much a play as a precept or a rule. Sometimes Meyer gives us these general rules that we should follow. And in this precept, he says, when you stand in the left or right wrath and an opponent cuts at you from below, either to the right or left opening, then cut on it with the long edge from above, and when it hits, then shoot your point on his sword in his face. With this, go up with your hands and attack to the nearest opening with such techniques as you will find above or below in this treatise. So this is, again, more of a concept. He calls it a precept or a rule. And this is very much reminiscent of the Zorn Ort play that you see in Lichtenauer stuff and the glosses that we study. So what Meyer's telling us is that if we're in either wrath and the opponent cuts at us from below, we're going to countercut with our long edge on top, and then we're going to shoot forward with our point. So we might counter, stab him in the face, fight's over. But he says if we counter and we stab with these high hands and they deflect it, we cut to whatever openings that they give us. So it's a fairly simple explanation, but it's a really good rule. The idea of countercutting, kind of dominating this overbind or the center line and then stabbing them in the face. And you can do this from any high guard. If we're in any of the Vom Togs, we can certainly countercut, stab them in the face. If we're in Ox, we can countercut, stab them in the face. Any guard where you're in a cutting guard from on high, you can countercut and then thrust. And like I said, we see this in some of the earlier treatises. The nice thing is that there's kind of a second rule that's hidden in this play. One of the things that Meyer tells us in other parts of the book is to attack where the opponent came from. And when he talks about provoking an opponent into an opening, he says you attack to one side. When they leave to parry, you hit where they just left from. So this can roll right into this. If we countercut and we attack with our hands, if they're pushing our sword this way, if they're coming from here, we probably want to come over to this side. If they push up, we probably want to cut in underneath. So you can start to think about, I'm going to countercut to dominate the center line, I'm going to stab towards the face, and wherever they come from to deflect that thrust, I'm going to attack that opening. So when I'm practicing this on the Pel, I will just be in wrath. I will cut with the pivot. I don't necessarily need to stop because they're coming to me. So if I step, I'm probably going to bind myself up. So I'm either going to cut with a pivot. I might even, depending on the range, cut with a step back, and then everything else is the same. So when I practice this on the Pel, I'm going to be in wrath. I like to cut with the pivot, come in with the thrust, and then I think, okay, they deflected me here, so I'm going to cut low to their right. Or cut, thrust, they deflected me up. I might step out and cut low to that side. Wrath, deflect, thrust, maybe they push over, I'm going to roll around high. So you can get creative with it, but you want to think about this as a good time to practice your situational training. So this is a precept or a rule, not exactly a play, but it's a good general rule to follow, and there's this kind of secret, or it's not secret because he does talk about it, but there's kind of an implied secondary precept that you should follow as well, which is the attacking to where the opponent just came from when they create an opening when they're defending. So play with those. It's a pretty short video this week, but I think it's some good stuff to do. So just remember wrath, countercut, thrust, hit where they came from if they defend the thrust, and just play with a few variations, and we'll try something new next week.